All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to talk about Terence Crawford sees something in Errol, Spence Jr. and Jermell, Charlo, and those fights are fitting to be knockouts, and he will join the great Floyd Mayweather Jr. as one of the greatest fighters of our time. Let's talk about what I was told in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Yeah, we're back in the 147-pound division. Why? Because I want to be. This is a wonderful conversation. It's a fun conversation about the two of the best fighters in the world who should be, hopefully, cross your fingers, knock on wood, that they will actually do this fight. Biggest fight in boxing, in my opinion. And I spoke with an expert, former champion, a guy that I know, a former contender who fought former world champions and a former trainer, about what Terence Crawford will do to beat Errol, Spence Jr. and Jermell, Charlo. Before I get into that though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hey, please accept my invitation to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Your support is greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. All right, so inside source here tells me that they know, and I really wish I could give you the guy's name, but I can't give you the guy's name. Sorry, you're just going to have to go with me on this. People are always saying, where are your sources? Who are your sources? Sometimes, man, you have relationships with people where they do not want to tell you who their name. They don't want other people to go to them and get in their face asking questions about what they believe. However, I thought that this was important to share because, I'm a really big supporter of Errol Spence Jr. and I like Jermell Charlo. I'm a fan of Terence Crawford, but I had been challenging people to tell me what they saw with Terence Crawford that would allow Terence Crawford to beat Errol Spence Jr. and to beat Jermell Charlo. Now, you know that Terence Crawford has said recently that, number one, he's going to whoop Errol Spence Jr. and immediately after that, he's going to go up and fight Jermell Charlo. My source tells me that they do have a plan, that there are things that they see in Errol Spence Jr. and in Jermell Charlo that Terence Crawford plans to capitalize on, and that he believes they will be able to successfully capitalize on in that fight. Now, whether or not they are going to be able to capitalize on it and win the fight is something else, because Errol Spence Jr. does make adjustments in the boxing ring. Jermell Charlo will also make adjustments in the boxing ring, but that if they are unable to do it and Terence Crawford sets it up correctly, that is going to be the downfall of Errol Spence Jr. and also be the downfall of Jermell Charlo. Now, what is that? It is essentially that Terence Crawford has one of the biggest uppercuts and the best uppercuts that there is in boxing, and his uppercut is a weapon of his that he does not utilize on a consistent basis, but is believed to be on par with Gervonta Davis's uppercut, where he relies on a consistent basis to knock people out completely cold, and that it is something that Terence Crawford is actually able to set up over a series of rounds, and then may wait to pull the trigger on it, maybe one time, two times, every other round, but something that he hides very, very well, and something that he intends to do pretty much from the get up. And a lot of things are built around doing that. And so I was challenged in this weakness of Errol Spence Jr., according to my expert, is that Errol Spence Jr. is available for an uppercut. He's available for a hook a close in hook on the inside, because Errol Spence Jr. is constantly boring in and trying to get into the chest of his opponents, and that Terence Crawford will use that strategically in order to catch him and then hurt him. And if when he's hurt, that is going to be that's going to be a lot of trouble on Errol Spence Jr. because Terence Crawford is also a tremendous finisher who is very strong and has a disproportionate amount of power, right? And an underestimated amount of power. And that once you back out of that and he's able to hit you at the mid-range with either left hooks, right hooks, uppercuts, whatever, doesn't matter, that they believe that Errol Spence Jr. very well has a chance to being knocked out in that regard. And it is and that Errol Spence Jr.'s aggression is what they're going to use against him, and that is what they see and why they feel so confident that they will be able to hurt Errol Spence Jr. Pointed out 2 circumstances or 3 circumstances in which that has happened to Errol Spence Jr. The first was against a big guy, Emmanuel Lartey, when he was on the ropes and charging in against Emmanuel Lartey, and he got hit with a big mid-range hook. And another one was one with the uppercuts that pointed out the uppercuts that Terence Crawford hit Julius Ndungo with, and the uppercuts that he hit Sean Porter with, because his uppercuts are not just strong to the head. He has paralyzing double uppercut to the body when you lean in, and he takes that step back, which they think Errol Spence Jr. very well may be a sucker for, at least to hit immediately. But there's obviously, the potential that Errol Spence Jr. can adjust to those uppercuts, and that particular stock knockout remedy that method that Terence Crawford has. So I went back and I looked at the fights and I looked at those uppercuts. I was like, yeah, that is that's something nasty. No joke about it, man. And it definitely is at the mid-range, but he's going to have to catch Errol Spence Jr. either coming in or going out in that regard. If Errol Spence Jr. is moving out to the side or stays in there and is able to occupy his hands, or he's able to take that uppercut to the body, similar to what Yordenis Ugas hit him with, especially when Errol Spence Jr. came in, he slipped. I think Yordenis Ugas slipped the right hand, slipped underneath it, moved out to his right, and then hit him with that uppercut to the body. That is what Terence Crawford is going to be looking to do with Errol Spence Jr. And that could be his kryptonite. Errol Spence Jr.'s Errol Spence Jr.'s kryptonite is those uppercuts to the body and the uppercut in mid-range, and uppercut mid-range, and which are 2 of the biggest ones of Terence Crawford's arsenal, right? Said the same thing goes for Jermell Charlo, that he can find those opportunities for those with Jermell Charlo, and citing the fact that Jermell Charlo had gotten hit coming off the ropes by a left when he was backed up to the ropes with a left hook from Brian Castano, and that he very well could be open for that as well. And that also that, Jermell Charlo, similar to Ndungo, is really wide with a lot of shots, and Terence Crawford could actually exchange with Jermell Charlo and catch Jermell Charlo in the middle of that. And, so wow, I was like, wow, man, thank you for that breakdown. And again, it's somebody that is a very reputable person. Not going to repeat their names. If you do not believe me, that's just on you. Don't know what else I can say, but I thought it was a worthy observation, and most definitely something I'm going to be looking at for the remainder of the time that I watch these fights. I can't wait for this fight to take place. I hope nothing gets in the way of this. Not too excited about the fight that's coming up this week with Canelo Alvarez and Bivol. So, I may do a prediction video for that the day before, but, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on what I pretty much think is a foregone conclusion. If I'm wrong and it's not a foregone conclusion, I was wrong, but hey, man, I'm willing to live with the chance that I'm wrong. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.